Anzac Day for me means a lot of respect. Appreciating the sacrifices that were made for this great country. My great-grandfather served in both World Wars. Daniel Archibald McIntyre, he was based out of Townsville, so he enlisted when he was 19 years old and fought in the First War, and then when he was 40 years old, he signed up again. So, there's a lot of pride there for our family, and it's something I'm proud of, and hopefully a little bit of him lies in with me. As a team, we've definitely spoken about the significance of Anzac Day. It's just a chance for all the players to actually remind themselves of the sacrifices that have been made. At the end of the day, we're here playing sport, but a lot of men have lost their lives, for the greater good of this country. When I listen to the last post, I will be remembering all the diggers that did sacrifice their lives and who served in the military. I think it's an important part of our history as a country, and I think in terms of us as players, we can really embrace that and really use it, I guess, not to just play rugby, but to live our lives.
Well, we know what it means to James Slipper and his Reds. It is a weekend which has meant so much to so many. The 100th anniversary of the Gallipoli landing, and rugby has been wonderful in the way it's commemorated Anzac Day and the Anzac tradition, and we will continue to do exactly that here today in Brisbane. It is a perfect day for it. Thank you very much for your company on Fox Sports. I'm Nick McArdle. Greg Martin is with me. Perfect day, light breeze, perfect for rugby, but also a great sense of occasion, Martin.
Well, the whole weekend's been full of respect around Australia, and for rugby it finishes up here in Brisbane. It's been extraordinary.
And of course we've got these light armoured vehicles looking over us. There's one in each corner of the ground. You talk about a sense of occasion, this adds to it.
Well, there was a plan for them to shoot blank rounds after every try. Apparently that's been shut down, but they are going to let loose just before the game starts. It's magnificent and good for crowd control too.
Exactly. A lot of families here today, a lot of kids, and I've been fascinated with my two kids and their mates especially, that respect and the fascination that young people in this country have shown for Anzac Day this weekend.
Yeah, the stories that have been told by footballers, by people associated with rugby and all the rest of it, it's allowed everyone to learn a lot more about ourselves as a nation this week. It's just been fabulous, and and the touch here, the Army helping out, has been great.
Exactly right, and I can tell you the Queensland Rugby Union has gone to great lengths to help commemorate this day, little bits and pieces that they're putting together to make it such a great occasion. More on that. Let's head up to Caxton Street. Sean Maloney.
Well, Nick, we're in full swing. We've got the Australian Army Band here. We've got the 2nd and 14th Light Horsemen. We've got members of the serving 7th Brigade. And we've also got Jake Schatz and Bo Robinson making their way down Caxton Street. Shatsy, what does this mean to you to commemorate the soldiers in this way?
Oh, look, it's a fantastic day. It's great that we can get out here and play in front of, past and present soldiers and celebrate this day for them.
And Binzi, you've got a real tie into the whole Anzac Day weekend, don't you?
Yeah, pretty disappointed that I'm missing this game, unfortunately, but had 3 grandparents that served during World War II, so it's really special to me, and it's great to recognise past and present people in the Army, so thank you, all services, thanks.
Well, Nick, we are getting very close to the stadium. We're going to be in and around there, going to get a few of the stragglers alongside us. See you in a second.
Oh, Sean Maloney's like Pied Piper, dragging the people out of the pubs up in Caxton Street.
We're taking a risk, of course, letting him be the person that's pulling them out of pubs. It's normally the reverse.
Exactly right. Now, of course, the Queenslanders, the Reds today, on the backs of their jerseys, will carry the names of some very special Queenslanders who served their country in World War I. For more on that, let's go to Greg Clark with James Hall.
Thank you, Nick. Well, the Reds have always had a very close association with our armed forces, but James, this year it's extra special.
Yeah, certainly being the 100th year of the Anzac landing, I think it's been something that our organisation's worked really hard on, and last year we were over there with the Hurricanes, and they did the corresponding thing last year. So this year we get to host them here at Suncorp, and we've got a lot of things around the game, to commemorate the people that have fought in the Anzac ceremony.
Now, James, what's it mean to you to have Hugh Flynn's name on the back of your number 5 jersey?
Yeah, look, I'm lucky enough to wear Second Lieutenant Hugh Flynn's name on the back of my jersey. He played 3 games for Queensland, and he fought in World War I in the ambulance division. He also got awarded the DCM medal for bravery and conduct, and unfortunately passed away in conduct. So he's one of 10 names that guys have on the back of their jerseys that played in that position, or played for Queensland and served in World War I. So we feel very privileged to be able to do that.
What's it mean to the other guys as well to have those names and in such an important game? You're back at home.
Yeah, look, it's a huge honour for us. I think, we've got, as you said, we've got a great connection with the armed forces, not only here in Queensland but across Australian rugby, and I think it's something that's very important to us, and we don't forget, the sacrifices that people made that were in our position, 100 years ago, went off to war and fought to give us the country that we have today. So it's a fantastic opportunity for us, and hopefully we go there and do them proud and get the job done today against the Canes.
Good luck.
Thank you.
James Hall there. Rob Simmons, his locking partner, will carry the name of Lance Corporal Arthur Cripps on the back of his jersey today. Arthur Cripps was a champion boxer as well, and some of the family members, some of the descendants of those 10 World War I servicemen will be here today. Len Foote was another. Samu Karevi will carry his name, and Len Foote's daughter, who is herself an elderly lady, will be here today. So really little special touches going on. One thing I do know is that the Reds are feeling a lot better about their season after that win over the Cheetahs last week.
Oh, they sure are. They've had no luck during the season. That's on and off the field at times, and they got a little bit last week, so they've come home on the long fly from South Africa feeling pretty good. I tell you, one of the things that has happened, this man's come in, Greg Holmes, injured at the start of the season. Ever since he's returned 3, maybe 4 weeks ago, their scrum has been incredibly strong, the Reds, and of course we know that's where you can base so much of your game on. So it's been super to have him back.
Okay, now as we have a look at the back line there, and Nick Frisby a key at 10, growing into that role. James O'Connor was probably the best player last week for the Reds. That is something that happened just a few moments ago. Adam Thompson, with his ankle stood on, has injured his ankle in the warm-up. We'll try and get a status report on that, but not looking good at the moment. Whether he can recover for that and take his place on the field, we'll attempt to find out, but that is a bit of a setback for the Reds here in the warm-up.
Well, I hope they can handle it. We're just trying to find out now whether they're going to rule him out, or he's trying to get it strapped up to see if he can sort himself out. I know him quite well, Adam Thompson. He's an All Black, he's a World Cup winner, and he's tough as. And he's got true passion for his team. He's been disappointed a lot this season, but he has got the passion. James O'Connor, nearly 100 metres last weekend. It was his 2 try assists. It was his best game of the season by a mile. He's been hampered by that calf and knee injury, but he seems to finally be having a little bit of form. So I'm looking forward to seeing him have a run today, but he's had plenty to cut out. Will Genia, it's been tough on him because with no Quade Cooper, he's felt a real responsibility to take the reins and play a little bit more than just a number 9 at times, but it is the game plan. It has been, especially in South Africa, he's overkicked, and I'd like to think today they can hang on to the ball in the hand.
Now these men, the Hurricanes, they were 7 from 7 to start the season before a bit of a hiccup last week, their first loss of the year to the Waratahs, but you look at the attacking stats, they have scored 26 tries this year, almost twice as many as the Reds. Try scoring not a problem, but what has improved, Marto, their defence.
Well, defence is a big thing. They were the 4th worst in the comp last year. Now they're in the top 2. They've turned that around, and they've always been able to attack. That's why, for a lot of people, they're their second favourite team, because they always will have a go. That's still existing, their attitude in terms of that, but they're also pilfering. They're attacking the breakdown and attacking it really well. They're the biggest pilferers in the competition, which is one of the great ways to stop an opposition attack.
Well, Reggie Goods is part of that, obviously, but you look at the firepower that they've got. You've got Barrett, who's been unbelievable in the 10 jersey, but out wide, Severe as well has been terrific. I mean, it just is going to take so much stopping that Hurricanes backline.
Yeah, the Reds haven't faced anything like this yet this season. It is just they just never stop. They'll run from their own line, and the Reds need to be cautious of that. They're coming off the Cheetahs maybe with some confidence, but the problem is the Hurricanes are in another league. All right,
some good news coming out of the Reds. I'm just hearing that Adam Thompson will be okay. Clearly he'll be a little bit sore, but he will take his place wearing the 8 jersey in this Reds lineup. Someone who isn't here today is Ben Daly with that dislocated shoulder, but still his headgear auction, which he's been doing every week to raise money for charity, will happen again today, even though he's not playing.
Yeah, it's a wonderful. He's been doing a great job, and the thing is, he's got a heart. He's a rugby player with a wonderful heart. Yes, he won't be available again, but if I have to put it on, I will, Nick. But he's been bringing awareness. It's Mates for Mates this week, a super organisation that helps returning soldiers who are having problems.
Indeed, and that is the charity that the Reds are supporting this Anzac weekend. Stay with us on Fox Sports. The build-up continues after a quick break. The Reds and the Hurricanes not far away. Thanks for staying with us. When you look at the game today and the support here in Queensland, it is incredible to think World War I almost wiped out rugby in Queensland. More than 90% of senior players in this state went away and never returned, and that's what we're remembering here today. Little reminders and big reminders too of service provided by those servicemen all those years ago. Marto, I know that there's a couple of matchups here this afternoon that you wanted to have a look at. The first one, Liam Gill and Artie Sevilla, the men in the 7 jerseys. Most
rugby matches, it's a pretty important one, the 7s. Incredible pair, because Liam Gill is the go-to man in the forwards. He 13 runs last week. Now that's extraordinary, but Sevilla, when he had 10 runs last week, you compare those, they're the season stats. Have a look down the bottom, the pilfers. Liam Gill is changing games on his own. That could be the most important thing. If we're going to see this continuing trend over the weekend, every home team has won this weekend. I don't know if it's something to do with Anzac Day, but there's a real feel of home teams. But if they're going to do it, Liam Gill's got to be at his best.
All right, what about Nick Frisby and Beauden Barrett? Now, I know you love Beauden Barrett, but Nick Frisby, part of that great news for the Reds this week, one of the players that they've managed to retain for the next couple of years.
I almost got the feeling in the first few weeks, you can have a look at the stats yourself, but the runs, Beauden Barrett gets his hands on the ball. Last 2 weeks, Nick Frisby is now demanding the ball off Will Genia. He was only touching it 20 times a game. That's up to 35 in the last couple of weeks. He's growing into the role. He had trouble, and I commentated a couple of the games. He was having trouble, getting his head around how to play number 10 again and not moving at the line. He started doing that last week, especially in the second half. I hope to see it continue.
All right, let's go to James Slipper now. His dad, of course, fought, or his grandfather, his great-grandfather fought in the First World War. Here he is with Clarkie.
Well, this Anzac weekend of rugby is extra special for James because you've got a connection, your great-grandfather.
Yeah, my great-grandfather served in both World Wars, so it's a special weekend for me and my family. But overall, I think most Australians and New Zealanders really pay their respects and really appreciate the sacrifice that have been given.
Well, it's a big game for the Reds. You're coming off a win in South Africa. What did that victory in Bloemfontein mean to you and your troops?
It's given us confidence. It means a lot to us. We really fought hard. We trained hard for that win, and it was good leaving the tour on a high, on a positive note. So coming back here, we haven't played here in a month, so it's good to get back here and hopefully put in another good performance in front of our home fans.
Well, looking forward to it, and you're going to have to be on your game because the Hurricanes can burn you. So go well.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, the Hurricanes are a good team, so we're going to have to be on our best.
lest we forget, what an amazing opening to this round 11 fixture at Suncorp Stadium in Brisbane, and congratulations to the Queensland Rugby Union. A moving tribute there, and it is a sunny day in Queensland as we get set to welcome both teams, the Queensland Reds and the Hurricanes from New Zealand, out onto the playing field. Rugby, such a big part of the Anzac story. So many players giving up their boots and jerseys for a uniform and a bayonet. And 61 Wallabies served in the First World War. 100 years since the Anzac landing at Gallipoli. And New Zealanders and Australians stood side by side 100 years ago. They've continued to do that over the years, and they will continue to do that in the future. But Greg Martin, when it comes to rivalry on the rugby field, well, it's friendly at times, heated at other times, but it's going to go on for a long time as well, this rivalry.
Great respect between these two teams. The parallel last year when Conrad Smith, before the game, the Anzac Day, clashed these two. He and Horwell arm in arm. It was quite moving, and it's on again today.
So James Slipper, as we heard, his great-grandfather served in both the First World War and Second World War. He's the captain of this Queensland team. Conrad Smith, the great All Black, leading the Hurricanes out onto the paddock. Hurricanes hosted this fixture last year. Now it's the Queenslanders' turn to host the Hurricanes from across the ditch. And they are on top of the Super Rugby table at the moment, despite coming off the loss last week to the Waratahs. There's Lockie Turner. 10 of the Queenslanders wearing the names of ex-servicemen on their jerseys, and those jerseys will be auctioned for charity as well. So we're getting set now for the Anzac ceremony at Suncorp Stadium. We'll have both anthems, Australia and New Zealand, the last post. But getting us underway, one of Australia's leading poets, Rupert McCall, with the Anzac poem.
From the backyards of Australia, they enlisted coast to coast. From the farmlands of New Zealand, they came forth to take their post. And from fields of rugby rivalry, they set aside their qualms to unite on fields of battle. They were brothers joined in arms. In blood, they carved the treaty of their everlasting bond, a species known as Anzac. Now with pride, their ghosts respond. On both sides of the Tasman, take a moment now to pause. Sporting dreams were put on hold. They rallied for the cause. Men like Vernon Cameron, Eric Francis, Arthur Cripps, with sheer determination their commitment came to grips. Straight of limb and eyes aglow, the Book of Legend states, and their efforts stopped at nothing for their country, for their mates. Who was Sydney Coombs, you ask? The answer will resound. Sid signed up for service on the streets outside this ground. The Great War called them forward. Their allegiance bravely put. We rise for Big Bill Svensson, and we stand for Lenny Foote. We elevate Viv Cooper for his gallantry as well. The medal's on his heart to find a tale we have to tell. From trenches on the Western Front to shores of Anzac Cove, we honour Rusty Richards and the selfless way he strove. He won the cross for valour. Feel the shiver, take it in the name of Bluey Thompson, for the sake of Huey Flynn. They saved the lives of others, showing courage to the bone. And tragically, in doing so, it cost young Hugh his own. These men played for Queensland. Others ran out for the Canes. Their company departed, but their quality remains. Loyalty uncompromised. The flag of mateship flew. They were hard and they were humble. And they loved their rugby too. What revives our Anzacs when the bugle has its way? They represent the freedom that we celebrate today. They grace this opportunity, this moment now at hand. Their sacrifice lends spirit to the children of our lands. They played the game of rugby for enjoyment and release. They will never be forgotten. May they proudly rest in peace.
They shall grow not old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun and in the morning, we will remember them.
Please remain upstanding for the Australian and New Zealand national anthems performed by Emily Burke and Judd Arthur.
Ah
Judd Arthur, originally from New Zealand, our principal artist with Opera Australia and a former professional rugby player for Otago. Well done, Emily Burke, one of Opera Queensland's most loved stars. Her husband, Nick, thinks this is the best gig she's ever had. Not surprisingly, he's a rugby fan. So well done, Emily Burke, and also Judd Arthur. And after that moving ceremony, the players will just have a little bit of a moment now to get their thoughts together about rugby. Greg Martin is alongside me and sideline for another former Wallaby, Tom Lawton. What about the Hurricanes up front, Tommy?
Oh, Clarkie, fantastic up front. Good is the South African. Matu, big defender, and Frank's plugging it there at number 3. Thrush and Broadhurst, fantastic games over the last few weeks, and they'll be the linchpin for that forward pack. Gibbons, Shields and Severe, really keen to see Severe this week after an excellent game last week. Over to you, Greg Martin.
Well, how good are their halves? Perenara, 5 tries this year. Barrett, last weekend ran 213 metres. That's the record for this year's season of Super Rugby. These two have played more games as a centre pairing than any other in Super Rugby. Incredible combination. And Martin Nonu was like a bulldozer last week. Talk large machines. Julian Savia in superb form, leading the competition in line breaks, in tackle bust. Extraordinary. It goes to him. They nearly always score.
And the home team, the Queensland Reds, have made the trip back from their South African safari. And up front, Tom, these boys have got some work to do.
Oh, they have, and they'll be raring to get at it too. Slipper, Hansen, who had a good one yesterday, last week, and Holmes playing his 124th. Simmons and Horwell, well, we've got a Wallaby second row partnership there, and they'll be locking this front row in pretty tightly. Corsink, Thompson and Gill, keep your eyes on Gill. I thought man of the match last week.
And out wide, Will Gannier, everyone knows his credentials. It's Nick Brisby who's really grown into the role in the last 6 weeks. He's had the number 10 hoisted upon himself, and he's covering himself in a bit of glory. Last week's win, Karevi, he is the go-to man for this red side. All his stats, he's the leading runner of this team. And out wide, well, Turner's getting used to playing fullback, but O'Connor last week nearly 100 metres with the ball. He made 2 tackle busts, 2 try assists. He's starting to hit some form.
So they pulled out the big guns. I know you'll excuse the pun, at Suncorp Stadium on this Anzac weekend. What a weekend it has been for Super Rugby. Great to have your company wherever you're watching around the globe. And the Hurricanes are coming off a loss for the first time this season. Our referee is from New Zealand, Nick Bryant. It's his 21st game of Super Rugby. Yes, the Canes going down to the Waratahs 29-24 in Wellington last week.
Yeah, good mate, how are you?
The Reds, well, they broke a 6-game losing streak when they beat the Cheetahs 18-17 in Bloemfontein last week. That took a little bit of heat off them. But with 12 internationals in the run-on team, the critics won't hold back until they play to their potential consistently. Hurricanes had won their first 7 games to shoot them to the top of the overall ladder. The favourite to reach the playoffs, ending a 5-year drought. Their last semi-final was in 2009. That was the last season they won in Brisbane.